Country Baseball. Please like and subscribe today. YouTube.com/@Braves Country. Hey Braves fans, thank you for listening to Braves Country Baseball. Hi, I'm Magee, and we are here to bring you play-by-play, pitch-by-pitch of your Atlanta Braves, bringing you spring training and 2 to 3 games a week all season long. Please like and subscribe today. Braves Country Baseball. You're a Braves Country. Before I forget to mention this, at the end of the show, I've got an interview from Walt Weiss, Braves bench coach, and kind of giving his thoughts on what happened at the end of the year as far as possibly running out of gas, maybe too long of a layoff. So I do encourage you to stick around for that. Okay, let's get going here. Hey, howdy, hi, and how the hell are you? Welcome to Braves Country Baseball. This is Braves Country Today. I'm Mac McGee. I bring you the play-by-play all throughout the year on YouTube. Here on our YouTube channel, Braves Country. It's youtube.com/Braves Country /@Braves Country. So if you're not subscribed, please like and subscribe. We do appreciate it. We're going to hit the ground running. These videos in the off season, they're going to be a little shorter than years past. Going to just trying to get to the bare bones of what's going on in the Atlanta Braves organization and just kind of keep you up to date. We're going to do these about once a week. It really comes down to how aggressive the Braves are in the free agent market. But I do plan on bringing one about once a week, somewhere around the Monday area. It really, like I said, depends on if they go out and they make a big signing. Look, if they blow the doors off of something and make a couple of big signings this week, we'll show up again at the end of the week. But we're not going to just do these on and on and on when there's not a lot of news to report right now. Now, if you look at the graphic I have up, and I'm going to stop my video real quick so you can see what I'm referring to. These are the top free agent shortstops and this top free agent starting pitchers, which the Braves have been rumored to be in on a few of these. We're going to go over those real quick. Obviously, DANSBY Swanson is the guy that everybody has a lot of interest in and wants to bring back, and for good reason. By the way, congratulations to him and Max Fried. They both won the Golden Glove Award. First one for DANSBY, third for Max. Those were the only Braves to win any such award like that. And we had some finalists in the Silver Sluggers, but didn't get any there. The other two guys to the right of DANSBY are two free agent acquisitions the Braves have already made. So in case you missed it, I figured it'd be a good time to go over it. Obviously, the guy at the top is a fan favorite. Jesse Chavez comes back on a 1-year, $1.2 million deal if he is with the big club, which we all expect him to be. And then Nick Anderson, below him, if you're not familiar with him, he was with the Tampa Bay Rays. He at one point was our closer. He had some injury issues. He's a right-hander out of the bullpen. They're hoping he can be a back of the bullpen piece and kind of spell what, look, there's a very good chance that Kenley Jansen is walking because we have Iglesias. They're not going to spend that kind of money on Jansen. Plus, I don't think Jansen wants to be somewhere where he is not the closer. Now, he could shock a lot of people and stay, but I would be very shocked if that were the case. And so those are the first two pieces outside the Sam Hillier piece, which he was the Braves got him in a trade. As I turn the video back on, the Braves got him in a trade, and though he's currently on the 40-man roster, he's being looked at as a piece on the bench. He may not even be with the big club when the season starts, but that remains to be seen. Obviously, a lot of things are going to come into play. What happens in free agency? What happens in the trade market? Got some notes on that for the Braves. And are the Braves able to move some guys? So when you look at that free agent list, obviously the shortstop is first and foremost Turner, Correa. Those are the two top guys. And then there's an argument between Bogaerts and Swanson. Reason why I have Segura below them is because he at one point was a shortstop. Now he has been playing second base, and there's a very good chance that's where he's going to play. But he could be a guy that the Braves could go out and sign if they decided to go after more of a platoon piece. If they decide, let's say Swanson walks and they decide to go ahead and move on from DANSBY, and they don't want to commit big money to one of the other shortstops, or they just plan on don't land at one of the other shortstops, then Segura could be a piece that would be more of a platoon piece, where not only do you give the young kid Grissom some days off, but then also with him being able to play second base, Ozzie Albies coming off the injuries, keep him fresh. But that's a long shot. The other shortstops that are out there, I really didn't even feel like that they were even worth putting up there. But there are some interesting pieces that you could put in. Once again, is a platoon piece. Elvis Andrus, he's going to be 34. Those numbers to the right of the pitchers, by the way, are their ages. I failed to put them up for the shortstops. But the shortstops, Trey Turner's 29, and this is at the beginning. This is at first pitch, opening day 2023, what their ages will be. Turner, 29. Correa, 28. Bogaerts is 30. DANSBY, Swanson, 29. But Elvis Andrus is an interesting one at 34 years old, but it looks like he's kind of lost it. But he would definitely be strictly a platoon piece. He's not a guy that you would be excited to put in there every day, but if he goes out there and we'll say plays 30, 40 games throughout the season to keep the other guys fresh, maybe that's the route they go. The other one that I find interesting is another definitely platoon piece is Jose Iglesias. He could bring some speed to the base pass. An old name, and this guy would just strictly be there for defense. There's literally nothing left in his bat. Andrelton Simmons. He's 33 years old. Of course, he's an ex-Brave. Braves traded him a while back. If they wanted to go that route, they may go with the lefty. Lefty, interesting one would be Didi Gregorius. Now, he looks like he's probably lost it. He was DFA'd by the Phillies at the end of the year. But he is a left-handed bat that had some pop at one point. And from all accounts that I see, he is known as a very good clubhouse guy. So that could be a route that they go. You move on from that and you go to the pitchers. I'm going to put the pitchers up there real quick again. DeGrom obviously is the big ticket that everybody wants. But he is 35 years old. 35 years old and is often injured. Carlos Rodon, 30. Verlander, 40. He's most likely going to win the Cy Young in the American League this year. But he's 40. And I think he's going to ask for a Max Scherzer type of deal. Remember, Max Scherzer last year at 39 years old got a 3-year, $44 million deal, whatever it was. Unfortunately, I think that's where you're going to be sitting with Verlander. So I don't know if it's realistic for Braves fans to think that they could land him. Some of the other guys that I just like, and I think they could be a good fit to get some innings for Atlanta. So let's say the Braves go out and they get Swanson. They want to improve the pitching, but you don't have the funds to go out and get Swanson and DeGrom or Swanson and Rodon. If I have one player on this entire list that I would want, it is Carlos Rodon. He's 30. He's a lefty. He strikes out at a very high rate, and he is a ground ball pitcher, which would play great into Truist Park. But he's also probably going to ask for the longest deal. Remember, he signed a 2-year, 1-year opt-out deal last year, but that was because of the shortened offseason, because of the lockout. He only had a few weeks to decide, so he just went and tried to play for a contender. So I think Atlanta would have a chance of getting him in because of the fact that he can, or it appears that he wants to play for a contender. Doesn't look like Carlos Rodon just wants to go to the heaviest gun and say, hey, pay me, and then sit somewhere for the next 5 years and just be irrelevant. I think he really wants to win. So he could be an outside chance, but not much of one. The guys below Verlander are the ones that really have my eye, because they're guys that you could put in for the regular season and possibly even the postseason. And though he's below Verlander, I really like Eovaldi. He was really good for the Red Sox in their 2018 run. And he's also a guy that does not mind coming out of the bullpen and is damn good at it. He is damn good coming out of the bullpen. So you put him in the starting rotation for the regular season, but you could put him in the damn bullpen and have him coming out in the postseason and give you 2-3 innings. So, wouldn't that be a perfect bridge to a solid bullpen if you had, we'll say, Charlie Morton, who's getting up there in age. Say Charlie Morton goes out on the mound and gives you 3, 4, maybe even 5 solid innings in the playoffs. You could have Eovaldi go out there and spell 2 or 3, and then it takes you right to the back of the bullpen. So I think he could be a huge piece. Martin Perez, though I have him below Bassett, I really like him because he's 31. He's a lefty, and he is nasty. If you haven't watched him pitch before, he was with the Rangers the last few seasons, and really bright spot on their rotation, and just a very difficult customer. Now, you have a couple of ex-Mets on here. You've got Bassett and you've got Walker. I would like to see what the Braves could do with Taijuan Walker in their organization, because he always seems to pitch really well and then fades down the stretch. And I would like to see what they could do to fix that. He's only 29 years old. He's got electric stuff, but he tends to get into a funk around August and September. Beginning of the season, he probably would have been pitching in that playoff series against San Diego, but by the end of the season, they had Bassett in there. Bassett is a guy that I think is a safe bet to go out there and eat some innings, but how many years is he going to want? He's 34 years old, and he gets clubbed from time to time. The Braves got a hold of him. The Padres got a hold of him. He's my least favorite on this entire list. So there you have that, and those are the candidates there. Real quick, if we're looking at the relief pitchers, didn't have room to put it all on here. Obviously, we talked about them already signing Chavez. They already signed, Nick Anderson, which Nick Anderson could be a sneaky under-the-radar signing. He really could. You move on from that, and the other big names are out there if you take Kenley Jansen out of the mix. Because once again, I really think he wants to go close somewhere, and it's Iglesias' job. They're going to be paying Rafael Iglesias $15-16 million this year. You don't pay that to a setup man. Guys that are going to be out there on the market that you might be able to get on a 1-year deal because they want to come back and prove something. interesting guys like Taylor Rogers. Now, I know everyone's going to jump up and down about Craig Kimbrell. The simple fact of the matter is, if he's not going to be your closer, Craig Kimbrell is a waste of money. Because whatever goes on between the ears of Craig Kimbrell, he does not show up with elite stuff when he's not the closer. There's just like a lack of focus or intensity there that they tend to get to him. It happened in Chicago. He got traded from the Cubs to the White Sox a couple of years ago. He was lights out for the Cubs. The moment he gets moved over to the White Sox, I mean, it's the same damn city. You can't blame any of that mess on it. You didn't have to move. The moment he gets sent to the White Sox, they put him in as their setup guy, and he gets pummeled. It's like a 5.14 ERA down the stretch. He goes out to Los Angeles for the Dodgers. He started off as their closer, stumbled a little bit. They put him in the setup role, got absolutely roasted. Didn't even make the postseason roster. So I'm not a big fan of the Kimbrell move. I would be more inclined to see if you could maybe fix Taylor Rogers. He has kind of a funky delivery, but you can bring him in. I do think they're going to be looking for a lefty, because even though we have Minter, who is elite in the back of that bullpen, what are you going to do outside of that? Because Matzik will not pitch this year. Now, if you look at the bullpen right now, and I still think Colby Allard, the reliever that they went out and made the trade for a few days ago, he could be the guy that they lean on in the back of that bullpen. Because I do not believe Allard is going to be in the starting rotation. I just don't. If you miss that move, the Braves sent Odorizzi to Texas, so we get a little bit of that money off the books. Only ends up saving us like $2.5 million. We have to pay 10 of the 12.5 he's owed. But we get Colby Allard back, and he's a left-hander with strikeout stuff, and so that could be the bridge. But you look at the rest of the bullpen that they're expecting to have. Dylan Lee obviously will be back, and they hope to get a little more consistency from him. He was really good at the very end. He was really good at the beginning of the season. There was just that chunk in the middle from, like, we'll say June to late August where he struggled from time to time. But all in all, a good season. You know, we still have Colin McHugh. We've got a couple other arms that we could possibly pull out of the bullpen from the minors, but I think you're going to see more of those usual suspects. The Jackson Stevens out there, you know, he's a guy that you can go out there to, if nothing else, he's in the front end of the bullpen getting garbage time. Kirby Yates is an interesting one. He's still on the 40-man roster. And Kirby Yates, if he can get back to form, and remember, he just came off of the Tommy John surgery, only had a few innings in the minors before they brought him up into the majors, and he was iffy at best. I think he's a part of their plan going into this year. A solid part of their plan. He'll be 35, almost. I'm sorry, 30. He'll be 36 by opening day. It's currently 35 right now. So we'll see if he can bounce back and have that velocity, which wasn't really his issue this year. I think his biggest issue was he did not have the control that you would like to have. And then, of course, you have other guys that could be bullpen pieces, could be starting pitchers. What about Wasker Inoa? Struggled mightily last year in the minors. They sent him down the minors. Pitched terribly down there. But could he get it back together? Remember a couple of years ago, there was at one point, he was the ace of our staffs where he punched that damn bench in Milwaukee. Cut a couple other guys that I would be looking for. Be interesting. Come spring training would be, Freddie Tarnick. What can he do? And then when you look at the starting rotation, I think the biggest question in this offseason is what are we going to get out of Mike Soroka? Mike Soroka could be a game changer for that starting rotation. If he can come in and give you 25 starts and 5 to 6 innings per start, Braves are going to have a hell of a staff. Because you got to look at it from top to bottom, and it's going to be, obviously, Max Fried, I would think, would be opening day starter. I think he has to be. And then it's got to be Kyle Wright and then Strider. And then, obviously, Charlie Morton. And that fifth starter, there's a very good possibility the Atlanta Braves aren't as active as we may want them to be in the free agent market for starting pitchers. Because if you look at the pitchers that they have a chance to have out there on a regular basis, that fifth starter, Bryce Elder, who pitched phenomenally down the stretch, Huascar Ynoa is another one that I continue to wonder what they are planning on doing with him. Are they going to continue to try to make him a starter, or are they going to say to hell with it? We're going to try to get you 2 pitches and he's got 2 really good pitches, and you're going to be our back end of rotation, back end of the bullpen guy. He could be elite. But you get past Bryce Elder. Let's say Bryce Elder struggles. What's Ian Anderson going to bring out there? I know everyone is quick to give up on him. Ian Anderson's only going to be 24 years old on opening day. I mean, Ian Anderson, you could make the argument, was the Atlanta Braves MVP of the playoffs last year. Because he was, when I say last year, I mean 2021. Because he was elite in all his starts. So can he bounce back? I'm not ready to give up on him. And then outside of that, there's a couple of names that could stick out there. Kyle Muller being the main one. There's been talk of Freddie Tarnick possibly going into rotation, but I think they're probably going to gear him towards the bullpen. Kyle Muller could be a big-time asset for the Braves. But when you look at Muller, you look at Elder, and you look at Ian Anderson, you have to kind of figure one of them is going to be able to step up and hit that the number 5 starter. But if you're Anthopoulos, you probably want that extra move, that extra veteran. But it may not be the guy we want. Like I said, I've got all the big names up there, but you could see some of the other starting pitchers that are out there. Atlanta, I'll give you 3 more that are real possibilities. Zach Greinke, 38 years old. He's the same type of pitcher that he has been. Solid, gets you 3, 4, 5 innings, and you could put him in the bullpen come postseason. And Zach Greinke is only looking for a 1-year deal at this point. He's 38 years old. Another guy that would be interesting, and I've had some people bring up to me about Thor, but Thor, I'm not buying it. Thor, Noah Syndergaard, he's looking for a 3-year deal. He's 30 years old. He wants something to be permanent. But if we're looking at guys that you go out and sign, and if they don't make it in the rotation, they could be nasty in your bullpen. What about Matthew Boyd? Matthew Boyd has had some injury issues, but when he's on the mound, he is very elite. Now, Jose Arena has already been picked up by the Colorado Rockies, so you can take him off the. But what about Michael Lorenzen, who pitched well at the beginning of the year for the Angels and then came into some injury issues. But all in all, when he stepped on the mound, was really good. Dylan Bundy's another one. Carlos Martinez, I still say, if someone could figure out Carlos Martinez, his stuff is nasty. And that's where I would probably cap it right there, because the rest of them, mostly the other arms that are on the free agent market that folks are talking about, they're projects, they're minimum deals that you stick up in, that you hope you get lucky with, like a Wade Miley. Zach Eflin is going to value himself much more than he should. Zach Eflin gets hit a lot, and he gets hit hard, and he just opted out of his final year of the contract for the Phillies, thinking that he's going to go, because he's 29 years old, he's going to go out and get 3-4 years. I don't want anything to do with him. Sean Manaea is an interesting one, but once again, 31 years old. He's looking. I don't want the Braves to go find a guy unless it's DeGrom, Rodon, even Verlander, as long as it's a 2-year deal. I don't know about 3. I don't want them to go after one of the elite pitchers, I don't want them to sign a long-term deal unless it's one of the elite pitchers. Eovaldi wouldn't be a bad 3-year deal. Perez, Walker, but even Bassett, I would be hesitant with Bassett. 34 years old. What's he going to be like at age 37? There are some interesting names that are out there that are going to be recycled, and the Braves might show some interest, but I really think it would be bullpen interest. Along front of the bullpen interest would be like a Mike Minor. Could they bring him back to Atlanta? Drew Smiley, could they bring him back to Atlanta? But once again, that guy's that you want in the rotation. All right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. And we'll probably be back in about a week. Just like and subscribe to the channel, and when the new shows are up, they'll pop up. But the Braves, normally they're active early on, but this has been a really, really slow week so far or 5 days so far of free agency. Like, the only thing that you possibly could have missed was Edwin Diaz going back to the Mets for a 5-year, $102 million deal. I think that's a little dicey. I don't know if I want to give $102 million to a reliever, though. If anyone's worth it, it's him. He was absolutely unhittable. And that's about it. You know, Kershaw getting signed back with the Dodgers, nobody cares. I mean, we know that Kershaw is going to go back to the Dodgers every single time. He's signing 1-year deals, so they don't feel obligated to pay him a lot, but they're giving him market value, and that's just where it is with Kershaw. But other than that, we're going to go ahead and get out of here, and hopefully Atlanta will get there. The number one thing that I want to see them get figured out sooner than later is that shortstop position. I'm with most of y'all. I really hope it's DANSBY, but the longer this goes, it really makes me wonder. But we know how Hanthopoulos did it last year. He is quick to where he thinks he's going to get caught holding the bag. He'll make a move before he waits on you. And Dansby Swanson has the same exact representation as Freddie Freeman. I've been saying all along, I think that's where Dansby ends up, is out in Los Angeles. And before we get out of here today, we have a quick clip from Walt Weiss being interviewed asking about this season. And basically, he feels like that the Braves ran out of gas and maybe the layoff had something to do with it. And so I encourage you to stick around for that, because he gives some pretty good thoughts. I thought it was a well-done interview.
Might empty the tank trying to catch the Mets. I mean, it was – the Phillies were red hot. I don't know if we would have beat them if we were playing our best, to be honest with you. But, we're banged up on the pitching side of things. Fried and Strider were both not at their best. Strider hadn't pitched in a month, and Max wasn't healthy when he pitched. But that's all part of it. That's part of a baseball season. It's a battle of attrition, and it's a great competitive advantage to the team that could stay healthy and keep their guys upright. And the Phillies reminded me a lot of us in 21. You know, their bullpen really came together late in the year, like ours did in 21. And we always knew it was a real high ceiling team. They're very talented. The top half of their lineup was as good as any in baseball. And that the bottom half of their lineup was loaded with tough outs, really tough outs. So I think they finally came together. And like I said, that bullpen was key for them. You know, Nola in that rotation, I always felt Aaron Nola is one of the most underrated starters in all of baseball. And I think he showed that this year, especially in the postseason. And Wheeler's a true ace. So they're really good. Even at our best, I think we would have had a hard time beating them the way they were playing. But again, anything more than a 3-day layoff is a detriment. You know, I think 3 days allows you to line up your rotation typically and that type of thing and get guys off their feet for a few days. But anything longer than that, I think it's tough. Guys are used to playing every day in this game. And, you know, but that's, again, that's the hand you're dealt. And there is an advantage to not having to play in that first round, you know. But I do think the layoff is tough to deal with in our sport. I think you look at the Dodgers, they were obviously the best team in all the game this year and struggled in that playoff round. But again, you have to deal with whatever comes your way. And that was the schedule this year. And hats off to the Phillies for playing the way they did down the stretch. You got to get hot at the right time. And we've seen that over the last few years.